Hey, what's up? It's Will Ripley here with Campfire Guitar Star. So what we're going to get into today is all kinds of bar chords. Okay, I want to show you all the essential bar chord shapes. There's 4 of them, by the way, 2 majors and 2 minors. And of course, what we're going to do is break into a whole bunch of songs. Okay, we're going to do everything ranging from Otis Redding to the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Radiohead to the Eagles, okay, and also a Lenny Kravitz song, okay? So we're gonna just blast through a whole bunch of bar chord songs, because what I believe is that with bar chords, there's really like nothing more boring than just like practicing bar chords, you know? And so of course, the whole thing is, the whole reason you have a guitar in your lap right now is to play songs, right? And is to play this thing. So playing actual bar chord songs, and I've hand selected these songs coming up, will just be a more fun way to practice bar chords, if that makes sense. So just playing these shapes over and over and over and over, like hundreds and hundreds of times, you'll eventually get these shapes, okay? And if you are struggling with them, just know that that's actually totally normal. I'll never forget when I first learned bar chords, and it was super, super challenging. And it just took me actually just weeks just to get a clear, like all 6 strings to sound crystal clear. So if you're struggling with that, no worries. Maybe you've stumbled across a song that you want to learn that has bar chords, and so maybe that has you watching this video, or whatever the case is. Just know that bar chords are tough. I would recommend that when you're learning bar chords, you get a couple of kind of ground rules in place first. And what I mean by that is just some ground level techniques. So if you don't know how to do something like this, so that's a single note bass line style riff. If you don't have something like that in like down pat, then you can imagine that doing these full-fledged bar chord shapes is going to be really difficult, because we're talking about 1 string in comparison to playing 6 strings at the same time. So some ground level techniques would be single note bass line style riffs. I have a ton of lessons on that. Also, power chords are a great segue into bar chords. So these are 2-finger chords. Again, getting 2-finger chords down first would be a better step than to go into 5 and 6 finger chords, right? So, or 6 string chords. And then also just your classic open chords. Just getting songs down with these chords is going to be another good segue into bar chords, okay? And we'll kind of like get your finger dexterity, your finger strength, all that kind of stuff, just kind of up to a certain level, where maybe when you start playing bar chords, they're still going to be tough, but at least you'll have some more strength and more dexterity in your fingers to allow you to play the bar chords properly. Okay, so let's talk about the 4 shapes. So again, we have 2 major chords and 2 minor chords. And what's really cool is that once you get all 4 chords down, then what you can literally do is play every single major and every single minor chord. So a G sharp major, a C sharp minor, whatever the case is, you'll know how to play them. And by the way, I have an entire course on this. All the stuff that I'm talking about, like the segues, like, you know, learning single note riffs, power chords, open chords, and bar chords. I actually have an entire course on this totally for free. Also, you can get the entire tab and download for this lesson. It's all in the description below. Okay, so as mentioned, let's talk about these shapes. So this is kind of the big classic bar chord shape that a lot of people play and learn first. Okay, it's probably the most common one. What's cool is if you know an E major chord, you can, and your standard E major chord is played like this. But if you play it with your 3rd, 4th, and 2nd finger and free up your 1st finger, that's kind of the whole thing about bar chords, is we're just moving this E major chord up. And then, but if we do that, we get this really cool Spanishy sound. Love playing that. But anyways, so, but to maintain this chord without making it sound super Spanishy and dissonant, what we'd want to do is actually move up the open strings, and we're going to do that with our 1st finger, okay? First thing that you want to do is just bump this up to like 5th fret, because as you probably know by looking at your guitar, is that the frets get closer and closer together as you go up the neck. So this is literally the hardest place to play your bar chord, okay? So as soon as you even bump it up 2 frets, or another 2 frets up to 5th fret, so my first finger's gliding across the 5th fret there, that's gonna be a lot easier because just the frets are just a little closer together, okay? So let's just work on some of the basics and the technique of this chord, okay? So what you'll notice very first is that my finger is hanging over the neck of the guitar quite significantly, right? And so check this out, if I make my finger flush with the wood here, I can never get that B string to ring. Okay, so I found out for myself years ago that if I brought my fingers so it was hanging over, which kind of changes my wrist angle and stuff like that, then I'll always get that B string to be nice and clear, okay? And you'll also notice that I'm rolling my finger kind of on the edge because this edge of your finger is just a little bit harder if you poke that with your pick. It's like a little more bony than this main part of your finger, which is more fleshy, right? So if you kind of like roll it on just the side of your finger, get your finger hanging over, the thumb is pressed into the back here, right? So I've got a nice, good, firm, solid grip. It's just like if you're reaching out to grab something, even your guitar, if you're reaching out to grab a guitar, you're gonna pinch it between these pinchers, right? So you wanna think about that when you're doing these bar chords. So we've got this pincher with the thumb, first finger, hanging over the edge, and those couple of little tweaks and tips will help you already. Another thing that's actually kind of cool that actually a student taught me, okay? So this one goes out to you, Paul. So I was teaching a student one-on-one, and he said, you know what, something that really helps me is if I pull my left hand in, like my fretting hand in towards my body, but then I counteract it with my right arm, so it's like you get more leverage. It's almost like you're like breaking something in half, you know? Be careful with that guitar of yours though. But anyway, so what you want to do is pull it with your hand this way, counteract it with this way, almost like you're breaking a guitar, but don't snap your guitar in half. Just get a little more leverage on that bar chord. And yeah, it's just like you're just kind of hugging both your hands in towards your body. And that should really help get those chords going on too. Okay, so that chord is just moving up an E major chord, played with different fingers, and then just adding that finger on. So even from there, all we're doing is we're just changing the bass note, but we're just moving a major chord up. So whenever you see this shape, no matter where it is, that's always going to be some kind of major chord. The only thing we're changing is the root note. So this is easy to figure out because we've got our low E string here. Okay, and that makes that an E major. But as soon as we change the bass note, now my bass note is this first fret. And that note is F, okay? Now I'm not gonna go into this in depth in this lesson. I just really wanna get to the 4 shapes and the songs. But I do have an entire breakdown of this inside my course, 5-Minute Guitar, which is totally free on the house in the description below, okay? But as soon as, that's the only thing that we're changing here. Well, we're changing actually all the notes, but the shape is the same, right? So as soon as we move that note up, then it becomes a different major chord. So F major, F sharp major, G major, and so on. So it's always going to be a major chord. Now, like I said, there's 2 majors and 2 minors. So quite simply, all we do is we just change this one into a minor shape, okay? So there's your E minor. It's like a Clint Eastwood film or something. Anyways, so we try putting that with your 3rd and 4th fingers. You would never play an E minor chord like this, but it's just for demonstration purposes to show you that as soon as you bump it up, you're gonna wanna drag that first finger and move that whole shape just up, okay? And again, the very first thing that you wanna do to master this minor shape is to bump it all the way up to say 5th fret. The frets are just a little closer together. Okay, so there is our minor shape. Exact same premise here. I've got my first finger just hanging way over the edge, you know, which changes the wrist angle. I've got my thumb in the back, okay? And I've got my finger kind of turned on the side a little bit. So I kind of plunk it down and then like shift it over onto its side. I'm pulling that guitar with my left hand. I'm pulling it in with my right hand. It's counteracting kind of guitar snapping shape. And that will always get that bar chord crystal clear. This one is really tough because the one thing that you want to check in on is the G string. Okay, that's the one that that is the only difference between your major and your minor. Okay, so if that G string isn't ringing, then you're actually not really playing a minor chord at all. Okay, so that's the one super important note that really kind of says whether it's a minor chord or not. Okay, so there you go. So there's your major bar chord and your minor bar chord. So technically you can actually already play all of your major and all of your minor chords. F major, F minor, F sharp major, F sharp minor, G major, G minor, so on and so forth. Okay? Now, however, there are two other shapes that are super important to mastering bar chords. And quite simply, those are going to be derived from, starting from the A string. Okay? So we talked about the two shapes starting from our E string. Okay? And again, we're just changing that root note. We can play any major and any minor chord. So, the next two shapes are derived from your A major chord. I always play my A major chord like this. You'll see it played like this, like this, like this, okay? I personally always hate when teachers teach students how to play an A major chord with 3 fingers, because I'll tell you what, when you got one finger, okay, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. So you can still get your full A major chord, you just want to get that knuckle bend going on there. Okay, so we've got our A major chord. Okay, and quite simply we're just going to be bumping this up and changing the root note just like the other chords. And then we've got our A minor chord. Okay, but just like the other examples, what we're going to want to do is change the fingering of those chords. So instead of playing with your first finger, play with your third finger. And again, you would never play an A major chord like this. I mean, you certainly could. As you can see, it's the exact same chord. However, it's kind of awkward, looks kind of funny. So what we're going to do is we're going to bump that up and use our first finger to catch the root note. This is the chord that really messes with people, and you're going to see with the minor chord that it looks exactly like the major chord on the E string. So just stick with me here, do your best. So we've got that A major, and we just move that third finger up, and I'm just covering 3 strings. Don't even worry about the top string anymore. It's dead to us. It's literally dead right now. And then we're going to go A, move that up 1 fret to the 1st fret. And again, this is the hardest place to play this chord, so let's just immediately bump it up to 5th fret. Okay, so we got, but I just wanted to show you where it's derived from. You're just moving an A major chord up the neck. Okay, so we've got 1st finger, 5th fret, and then we're going to grab our 3rd finger and bar it over 1, 2, 3 strings right there. So we've got it on the D, G, and B string across the 7th fret. And again, we're only playing 4 strings with this particular bar chord. Okay, this is a really common chord. Okay, so we got this shape. So in this case, we're playing a D note with our first fingers, which would make that a D major chord. And you can compare it for yourself. You can go back to your regular old D major chord. See how they sound exactly the same, but they have a different tonal shift, right? It's because we're playing, instead of some open strings, like we have that open D string, we're playing a fretted D note, okay? And stuff like that, so, but that you can hear, right? They have the same structure, okay? Exact same chord, just played on a different place of the neck, has a different tone and different effect, okay? So there's the D major. Again, derived from your A major, and we just bump that up. So this would be your B major, which is the super common place to play this chord, C major, D major, and E major. I like this place right here because we can throw the low E string in there. Okay, so that's all derived from your A major chord. Okay, now we got our A minor chord. Now, like I said a few minutes ago, this chord always confuses people because, like this bar chord, because it looks really similar to that first major chord that we learned and kind of the most common bar chord shape. Okay, so we've got A minor, and that's because E major and A minor are pretty much identical in terms of shape. However, A minor, it's an A and a minor, and then we've got an E and a major, so they're actually completely different chords. One's major, one's minor. One is from E, one is from A, okay? But structurally, when you put them together and physically on the guitar, they are pretty much identical, okay? So that's where the confusion often lies. So on this one, what we do is the exact same thing. We're gonna line up different fingers and free up our first finger. So we got our third finger, fourth finger, and second finger, okay? But still, it's just an A minor. We haven't changed anything at all, right? So quite simply, it's the same idea. We bump this up. But as soon as we do that, that sounds really bad. So what we do is we wanna pull up those open strings with our first finger, okay? So, and again, this is the hardest place to play that chord. So what we're gonna do is bump that up to 5th fret where the frets are a little closer together. And so now we're on this is gonna be a D minor chord. So, if you remember from the first couple chords, we had our finger hanging way over and that really helped us here. However, what you're gonna wanna do is a couple of pro tips here would be to touch that tip of your finger it's fretted on the A string, but it's muting the low E string. So now I can go ahead and just whack the chord without making that low E string sound, okay? Otherwise, you just gotta really squeeze this one into the neck, okay? And you'll be off to the races, okay? So those are your 4 main bar chord shapes, okay? So again, they're just derived from E major, and E minor, and A major, and A minor, okay? And what those would look like up on, say, the 5th fret, where you want to start practicing these and just work on going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just checking into each one of those chords, okay? And then you take off your second finger and all those little tips and tricks that we talked about, side of the finger, finger hanging over, the pinch on your thumb and your first finger, pulling the left hand in, pulling the right arm in. So there's your minor chord, and you can see I actually grab my second finger and put it across my first finger. It's a little sneaky tip that might help you. Okay, so, and then we talked about the major and minor chords, again derived from A major and A minor. So now our A string is our root, which is gonna be up on 5th fret. So we got D major. And now this is a little bit confusing. It's different in the sense like here we play all 5 strings. All 6 strings, and then on this chord we play all 5 strings. But on the A major shape, in this case, what it looks like is just this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, don't hit that guy on top. Just all of a sudden changes the nature of the chord completely. Okay, so just want to hit those 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can kind of just like get that dead. Get your low string dead. Okay, so there's a way to do that to get both the low string and the high string muted. And you'll notice that's another thing I used to always do when I was a kid, especially when I was learning these, was just slap down that pinky finger for extra pressure. So anyways, that might help. You might even be doing doubles. Okay, so whatever works, you got to find out what works for you. Just whatever gets these chords clear, that is the right way, okay? And then, of course, we talked about this minor shape. Okay, and this is a big thing. You just want to put your finger on the A string. You don't want to fret the low E string. Okay, it sounds quite good, but just to understand the difference between this chord and this chord, right? They look exactly the same, but they couldn't be any more different, okay? In this case, we have an A major chord, and in this case, we have a D minor chord. They look the same on the guitar, almost. Of course, they're on different strings, but yeah, just completely different chords. Okay, so that's the breakdown of the 4 essential bar chord shapes. What we want to do now is apply these into some songs, okay? Because yeah, sure, you could sit there and, work on these chords just kind of randomly, but that's no fun. What we want to do is play songs which will actually kind of encourage you to practice more, okay? And it will sound good, it'll be more fun, and hopefully you like these songs, and maybe you'll put some words to them eventually, or whatever the case. So the very first one that I want to show you is Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz, okay? And a big shout out to Mike B from Campfire Guitar Star. This is how he learned bar chords, and he showed me this, and we started applying it when we taught our one-on-one students and stuff. Anyways, so the track goes like this. Okay, so Fly Away by Lenny Kravitz. Make sure to check that one out if you haven't already. So, as you can see, all I'm doing is moving around this major shape right here. And I'm just moving it around. So my strumming is really easy. I'm just going down, up, down, up, down. Okay? Okay? 5, 7, 7, 7. So what we got there is we got 5, 7, 8, down to 3, and up to 10. Okay? So, as you can see, as long as you know the song, that's a pretty easy strum pattern. You just start shifting this guy around. That's another thing you can do is just keep that right hand just going and going, and then you're just going like this. Right? My right hand just isn't even stopping. Right? So the right hand is nice and consistent. Right? Nice solid rhythm there. And I'm just squeezing and letting go of each chord. So it's dead or it's alive, right? So that's a great one. Another super easy one that's kind of done in the same style is Otis Redding, Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay. So we're going to start on that same major shape, but down on the 3rd fret. And we're going to do a little bit different strum pattern. I'll just go ahead and play it and we'll break it down. So we got... Okay, great tune. Okay, so it's the same idea as Fly Away, the song we just learned a minute ago, where we're either hitting the chord or we're letting the chord go and just having the chord dead. So it's either dead or alive. So get that going on first. So we want to go like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So get that going on just one chord. So 1. Here we go. Switch. So that's the verse. So you could see I was really kind of like exaggerating that move to the second chord. So, right? So of course you want to keep it a little more consistent than what I was doing there. I was just trying to exaggerate that movement so you could see that when we moved to that chord, it was actually on that upstroke, right? So down, up, down, up, up, down. Okay, in the chorus of that, all we're gonna do is go to the G and slide it down to an E major, okay? This is a little pro move for you because what you wanna do is go G, and instead of doing your E major like this, just slide the whole thing down, especially since that this is what this whole song is based around. Let's just keep these 3 fingers all in the same zone. So we're gonna go switch back and forth from G to E to up to 5, and one more time, G to E. Okay, so here's the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're gonna go up. We're gonna repeat that one more time. Now we're back to the start. Okay, love that tune. I mean, it's super classic, super great, catchy. Everybody knows it. It's a great one to do. And you'll practice your bar chords. You're learning a classic song. You know, it's just win-win-win on this one. And a great strum pattern there too. We'll get those little chicka-chickas going on for you. So down, up. Okay, so I'm loosening the chord just enough so that it's like this, and just giving it a little rhythmic shot with my right hand. Okay, so that's Otis Redding, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, which I believe, let me know in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure that he wrote that with his guitar tuned in open E. So to play bar chords, all you have to do is one finger all the way across. So that's pretty sweet. So the next track that I want to go over, let's go ahead and hop into, this is going to be a more challenging track. This is going to be Red Hot Chili Peppers. We're going to be doing Dani, California, which I played on the intro. Now this is great because this song uses every single bar chord shape, all 4 of those bar chord shapes. So we've got a verse and a chorus to this song. So the very first chord here is we've got an A minor, and we're going to introduce a new technique here. So we're going to go bottom, bottom, top. Okay, so I'm string splitting. So I'm hitting the bottom 3 strings, roughly, like just, you know, I can kind of hit on the, you know, there's 6 strings. I'm aiming for the bottom 3 and the bottom, or in the high 3. So we've got bottom 3, bottom, bottom, top. So you really want to separate those because that will just inject all kinds of rhythm into your guitar playing. So this is really cool because if you think about a big drum beat like Queen's We Will Rock You, do 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 do, we can kind of hit that exact same rhythm in this chord. So we got bottom, bottom, top. Okay, so there's our first chord, our minor chord. Okay, get that finger hanging over. Just check in. Are you getting that G string ringing? If not, that's okay. We're just gonna keep on playing it, and eventually you will get it. So here we go. Bottom, bottom, top. Switch down to 3rd fret, major chord, bottom, bottom, top. Gonna go to a D minor, which is gonna be 5th fret minor bar chord off the A string. So here's the same idea with string splitting, but now we're just working with 5 strings. So we're just gonna really just roughly kind of bottom, bottom, top, just like roughly kind of separating them in half. Okay, so we got bottom, bottom, top, bottom, bottom, top, bottom, bottom, top. You can see I'm also doing a little pump, so to just further kind of like make those strings dead in between. And you'll see that I'm also doing a little upstroke in between the chords, which just kind of adds more rhythm into it, just kind of makes it flow a little bit better. But even just going down, 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 that still sounds totally fine. See? Up, up. So I'm doing this transitionary strum. Again, just kind of adds in a little bit more rhythm. So we got So just pause the video, just cycle that. You know, I'm already feeling it in my hand. Let me know in the comments below if you're feeling it at this point. We're only like halfway through this video, and man, the left hand starts getting a good pump going on because we're squeezing the heck out of this guitar, right? So that's the verse of the song. To transition to the chorus and back to the verse, we just hit this D minor chord and we just lay on it. So you can even simplify that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, okay? So I'm not going to break down that strum pattern in depth in this lesson, but yeah, that would be a great way to do it. Just, you know, again, I'll do that nice and slow. So here's the D minor, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And now we're going to break it into the chorus. Okay, so the 4 chords in the chorus is your F major bar chord, to a C major. So this is the first time that we've seen a song using this chord shape. And again, just remember 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4 strings in that chord. We're going to move up to that D minor that we just played. And then your G major. So, a really similar kind of rhythm. We can go like... So again, just use it as practice, right? We want to involve fun and songs and practice all together with bar chords. I really feel like those are the 3 pinnacles to mastering bar chords. So, we've got that F major bar chord, C major 3rd fret, D minor on the 5th fret of the A string, down to our classic major bar chord shape on the 3rd fret. Okay? So, we can go down, 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 down. And then to switch back into the verse, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... Whew! Feeling it in that hand, man. So I want to show you 2 more bar chord songs. One is going to be Creep by Radiohead, okay? And this one's great because I'll just go ahead and play it for you here. I'll play it in 2 different ways, okay? So we've got the verse, which I'm going to play all on the A string. And you'll see when I move to the low chords, it sounds nice and big. And I love that about bar chords, how you can play the same chords in a totally different way and be able to just access a completely different vibe. So the chords here, we'll just use these chords just because we're maybe a little bit more familiar with them. So we got G major chord, 3rd fret bar chord on the low E string. I'm going to bump that up to 7th fret, really similar to Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding so far. Really similar to Otis Redding's Dock in the Bay. But the only switch here is we're going to switch this major, the C major on the 8th fret, into a minor. Okay? And the strum pattern is definitely a little bit more complex than what we've come across so far. So we've got... So it's actually pretty easy to memorize. It's just maybe a little bit harder to feel. But we got 3 downs, 3 ups, and a down, up, down, up. And I'll make sure that this is written out in arrows in that PDF that you can download for this entire lesson in the description below. But yeah, so we got down, 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 up, 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 down, up, down, up. So we just break that down. We got down, 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 3 downs, 3 ups, and then a quick down, up, down, up. Okay, and the rhythm would be like down, 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 up, 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 down, up, down, up. Okay, you might want to just pause the video, find that spot just 2 seconds ago where I'm going down, 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 up, 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 down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, 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 down, up, down, up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so then we're just moving that up. To 7th fret, exact same thing. 8th fret, exact same thing. And then the minor, exact same thing. And what I was doing here was I was playing this chord, I was just doing the exact same chords all on the A string. So 10th fret with my first finger on the A string is going to be the exact same chord as the 3rd fret major bar chord on the low E string. Okay, it's just played an octave higher. Okay, and then we play our B major. Okay, again, just 1, 2, 3, 4. Just move that up 1 fret. Really similar to, right? Just 1 fret movement. It's the exact same, but we're just playing these chords on the A string. And exactly like the E string version, we just move that into minor. So major to minor. So 10th fret, this A chord shaped bar chord, down to 2nd fret, up to 3rd fret, and descend down to minor. And the exact same strum pattern works. Down, 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 up, 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 down, up, down, up, down. Down, down, up, 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 down, up, down, up, down. Down, down, up, 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 down, up, down, up, down. So that would be, and if you listen to the song Creep by Radiohead, you'll hear that the verses are really quiet. And then, chugga, chugga, chugga. Right, the verses are really huge and powerful. Okay, so you can kind of switch between those. The exact same chords though. The verse is the same, the chorus is the same chords, but one's really like light and one's really big and muscular. Okay, so that's 2 different versions to play the exact same chords, which will hopefully help you unlock that, just kind of the magic of bar chords, and they're really powerful in that way. And again, I actually break this song down and how to find the notes on the E and A string all inside a 5-minute guitar. So you might want to register for that course, totally free on the house. Description's in the link in the area below. So the last song I want to show you is Hotel California by the Eagles. Classic track. We all know this one. So I'll just go ahead and play it. Okay, so the very first chord, we've got a B minor, 2nd fret of the A string in the minor shape. We're just going to move that over. Got my finger hanging over to get all 6 strings nice and clear. Going to move that up to the 5th fret. And then down to our E major. And again, just slide it down. Keep your first finger free. You don't have to switch into your classic E major position. Go up to G, 3rd fret, for sliding the shape around a lot on this one so far. Here comes a little switch. We're going to go to our D major, 5th fret. Now we're going to go to our classic E minor shape. And back to that 2nd fret major. Okay, so I'm not going to break down the strum pattern in this lesson right here, right now. Let me know if you're just dying to know. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can make a video for this. But for now, just try to get each one of those chords down. And you can even sing along. On a dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair. Sing along with me. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Right? So you can just cycle through them just like that. The chorus is just 4 chords. We're going to go up to plenty of room at the Hotel California. So nothing too, these are just the same chords that we saw in the verse, but just in a different order. So we start on G major, go to D major on the A string, down to E minor, and back to that F sharp major, 2nd fret bar chord, E string. Okay, so it's those 4 chords that we found in the verse, just in a different order. Okay, So that's the verse and the chorus of Hotel California. I'll just quickly play through the strum pattern here so you can get a feel for it and hopefully start applying it. So here we go. Cool. So we definitely blasted through a lot of material in today's lesson. So as you know, the beginning, we talked about those 4 main bar chord shapes, 2 majors, 2 minors. We've got, and if we think about it kind of like more like major, minor, because we've got our 2 major, or like our major and our minor on our low E string. So our root note is based on there. So we've got our major and our minor. And then, so we talked about those, and then we got our major and our minor on the A string. So we had major and minor. So that's all you need to know. However, bar chords are a little bit tough. They're like, I can feel like just going through these songs and teaching this lesson, like, whew, the old hand got a pretty good workout because we're just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, right? They do get easier though, just so you know. But yeah, they're just so essential. I mean, you'll just be able to play so many songs. They'll literally unlock every single major and minor chord. The only missing ingredient that we didn't go over with bar chords today too much is, of course, I was telling you what the chords were, but you can find out really easily what the chords are for yourself just by knowing what the notes are on the E string and the A string. And that's it. Just finding out, like, 3rd fret of the E string is a G note. 10th fret of the A string is a G note, okay, and things like that. And then you just start your major or minor chord off those notes, and boom, you're literally playing every single major and minor chord in up to 2 different ways without even really thinking about it. All right, so I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and if you like this lesson, definitely you're gonna wanna check out campfireguitarstar.com. We have a complete umbrella of guitar products and services. Everything from a free book that will ship right to your door that accompanies our free course, the 5-Minute Guitar System. So you're definitely going to want to register for that at the very minimum. Also, we have a blues course, a lead and rock course, an acoustic course, another course totally on the 1960s rock guitar. We teach one-on-one webcam lessons to people all over the world, okay? And that's all done through myself and Mike B, who you may recognize here on the YouTube channel as well. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment below, download the PDF for this lesson. Let's get in touch. Let's help you rock the house. Definitely check out campfireguitarstar.com. But yeah, the links that you're going to want are all in the description below right here on this YouTube channel. So until the next lesson, keep on ripping it up. Thanks for tuning in.